Hey everyone, Namaste. Welcome back on another video of my YouTube channel. This is me. This slide is telling something about me. My name is Chandrabhal Tiwari Om, or in short Om Tiwari, and I have done my masters in history from University of Delhi. Yes, ये स्लाइड आपको मेरे बारे में कुछ कुछ बता रही है, बट आपके काम की चीज़ ये है कि इफ़ यू डू नॉट नो मी एंड इफ़ यू वांट टू सी मोर ऑफ माय सेशंस, like you can find me on Unacademy. I'm an history educator there for NTA UGC NET and SET examination. So आप वहाँ पे हमें देख सकते हैं, वहाँ पे हमारी बहुत सारी क्लासेस देख सकते हैं, even on free platform. So if you're new on Unacademy, you might need a referral code. So my code is Om Tiwari. You might need this code to unlock even the free sessions. If you want to join the Plus platform, then again you can use this code, that is Om Tiwari, which will give you certain discount. Further, if you are new on this channel, so first subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon, and also like this video so that its reach could increase. And also you can follow me on Instagram, you can follow me on Telegram as well. This Telegram t.me/how to story. You can find me there, or just search Om's history, you will find me. This is a group for NTUGC NET students who are actively looking for this examination, who are actively preparing for this examination. Anyway, so from this video onwards, I'm starting a new series, and in this series I'm going to talk about Marathas. And I know that I have been starting so many series and I'm not completing those series, तो बट ठीक है, ये नए नए चैप्टर्स आपके स्टार्ट हो रहे हैं, हमारे पास वो सारा कंटेंट है, वो सारा प्लेलिस्ट है. I will keep adding सेशंस इन दोस. ओके, तो मराठास की अगर हम बात करें तो इट्स अ बिग टॉपिक, एंड मराठा एम्पायर से क्वेश्चन बहुत ज्यादा आते हैं. अभी लास्ट ईयर भी मराठा से क्वेश्चन आए हैं, मराठा से काफी टफ क्वेश्चन आ जाते हैं, काफी कंसेप्चुअल क्वेश्चंस भी आते हैं. तो वी विल लुक इनटू दिस टॉपिक इन अ वेरी डिटेल्ड मैनर. फर्स्ट, सो दिस इज द वेरी फर्स्ट सेशन ऑफ द मराठास. सो फर्स्ट वी विल स्टार्ट विद द सोर्सेज ऑफ मराठास एंड in what context Marathas they appeared, and then we will talk about this rise of Marathas, how the rise of Marathas has been visualized by various historians. So we will look towards the historiographical context as well. So let's begin. Now, if we talk about the sources of the Marathas, so the most important Maratha sources or Marathi work, जो शिवाजी की biography है, which was called as Bakhar, it was written by Sabhasad in 1694. In 1694, your Marathi work or Sabhasad, he wrote Bakhar. It is the most important source for the Shivaji's biography. It was written in 1694, and this biography was further elaborated by Chitragupta. After that, we have Agnya Patra of Sambhaji, and this Marath Sahitil Rajniti of Ramchandra Pant Amatya. It is another Marathi work of importance which traces the events from Shivaji to Sambhaji. Then we have Jayaram Pindiye's Radha Madhav Vilas Champu, which was written in Sanskrit. It is another work that primarily deals with the life of Shivaji, or a kind of a biography of Shivaji. Bhim Sen's the Persian work Nuskha-e-Dilkusha, ये भी इस डायनेस्टी से रिलेटेड एक इंपॉर्टेंट पर्शियन सोर्स है, which talks about, or which throws light or important light on the Mughal Maratha relationship. Further, we have some modern historians as well who wrote certain work or certain biographies of on Shivaji, वो हमारे लिए important हो जाती हैं. So this biography which was written by Gajanan Bhaskar Mahendale, it is Shivaji, his life and times. Then Shivaji and his times, it was by Jadunath Sarkar, he is the official biographer of Shivaji. Then Shivaji the Great Maratha, Ranjit Desai. Jadunath Sarkar official, this modern biographer. Then Raja Shiv Chhatrapati, it was by Baba Saheb Purandare. Then Shivaji the Grand Rebel, it was by Dennis Kincaid. The Rise of Maratha Power, it is by Justice Ranade. Challenging Destiny, it was by Medha Deshmukh Bhaskaran. So these are some of the modern biographies of Shivaji, and they are very important for us. Moving on, talking about geography, that how the geography actually helped Shivaji or even the Marathas. तो ज्योग्राफी की अगर हम बात करें तो Marathas they rise primarily in Maharashtra area. Okay, we all know that the Marathas they first rise in Maharashtra area, and Maharashtra area it includes the Konkan area. Okay, Maharashtra अगर हम बात करें तो it has the Konkan area which lies between the your Sahyadri ranges and also the western sea coast, जिसको घट माथा भी बोलते हैं, घट माथा. Okay, so Konkan area, it lies like between these, and you do not need to remember them, but I'm just telling you for a context. On the northern side, towards the west, runs the Sahyadri mountain ranges, while from east to west lie the Satpura and Vindhya hill terrains. Okay, so this whole hilly area basically provide natural defenses for the forts of this area, and it is also strategically, that's why it become one of the best fortified regions in India. It had hilly terrain, it had impregnable forts, it practically remained impregnable to the invaders throughout the history. But ये जो hilly tracts के बीच में soils जो हैं, okay, the soils between the hilly tracts, they are not very fertile. Okay, they are not very fertile. That's why the people here, they had to work very hard, okay, in order to survive in these areas. This is the reason that your inhabitants there, they are kind of tough and hard working at that point of time. However, in the Deccan in the Deccan Plateau, we have the soil which is black and it is fertile, and though the rainfall is not that optimum here, but the region, it produces good crops. So this is kind of a geography which helped these Marathas in rising into a new political force. How? First, the hilly areas, the Konkan belt, it provided an impregnable kind of territory to the Marathas. Second, because of the infertility or less fertile nature of the soils, the people, they were quite hardworking. And next, we have, there are certain areas which were fertile, like the areas of Deccan, जहाँ पे आपके black soil मिलती है, but क्योंकि वहाँ पे rain इतनी optimum नहीं है, तो people, they have to work hard, but still it produces good crops. Okay, so this is the area, this is the geography in which the Marathas, they appeared. Now, talking about the rise of this Maratha power from the historiographical perspective, so there are so many views and opinions which have been expressed by scholars regarding the rise of Maratha power. जैसे Grant Duff, he described it like the rise of Maratha power as a result of this conflagration in the forests of Sahyadri. Okay, conflagration in the forest of the Sahyadri, like the forest people, the tribal people, they decided to join hands, and with that, in that union lies the rise of the Maratha power. But according to M.G. Ranade, it was much more than the mere circumstances which led to the rise of the Maratha powers, and he calls it a national struggle of independence against the foreign domination. M.G. Ranade, he mentioned that the rise of the Marathas, it is a national struggle of independence against the foreign domination. But there is a problem in that. This opinion has been disputed by various scholars on the ground that if the Mughals were foreigners, then what about the sultans of Bijapur and Ahmednagar? Okay, sultans of Bijapur and Ahmednagar. Because the sultans of Bijapur and Ahmednagar, they were equally alien. And if the Marathas could accept the domination of these Bijapur and Ahmednagar, then why not of the Mughals? Okay, so this whole idea of M.G. Ranade, it has been actually criticized by many scholars. Then Jadunath Sarkar and G.S. Sardesai, they emphasized the emergence of Maratha power as a Hindu reaction. As a Hindu reaction against the communal policies of Aurangzeb. But here again, there is a problem that Shivaji, at one point, he is basically applauding the Sulh-e-Kul policy of Akbar. Shivaji, he was in his biography, Bakar, it has been written that Shivaji, he actually applauded the ideas of Sulh-e-Kul by Akbar. In fact, this argument also doesn't seem to have any sound base, because their earliest patrons were Muslims only. Like the rulers of Bijapur and Ahmednagar, they were the one who patronized Marathas. Besides, one does not find Shivaji fighting for the cause of the Hindus and their welfare outside Maharashtra. Okay, outside Maharashtra, Shivaji is not fighting for the welfare of the Hindus. So this whole attempt, this whole logic by Jadunath Sarkar and Sardesai, it kind of lies flat. In fact, within Maharashtra, we find that the rise of the Marathas, it does not find any kind of social reform being happening there. Okay, in fact, it is said that his assumption of the titles like Hando Dharmodharak or Gau Brahman Pratipalak, which was taken up by Shivaji at the time of his coronation, it was not much new in that period. Okay, Andre Vink, on the other hand, he has seen the rise in the growing Mughal pressure on the Deccan Sultan. Even Grand Duff, he kind of recognizes this thing, that the rise of Marathas, it is basically the Mughal factor which led to the rise of the Marathas. But it was perhaps more than that. Moving towards Satish Chandra, what did he say? So Satish Chandra bolte hain, he basically find the socio-economic content in the rise of the Marathas. He says that Shivaji's success lay in his ability to mobilize the peasants in his area, and it is generally argued that he discontinued Jagirdari and Zamindari and established direct contact with the peasants, thus freeing them from exploitation. But according to Satish Chandra, he did not do away with this whole system at all. उन्होंने जमींदारी पूरी तरीके से खत्म नहीं की. Instead, what he did, he curtailed the powers of the big zamindars who were called as Deshmukhs at that point of time, and he reformed the abuses and established necessary supervisory authority over the Deshmukhs. Okay, over the Deshmukh. And this is the main reason that Shivaji's military strength, it did not consist of feudal levies or the feudal elements. Okay, the bigger Deshmukhs, they were not the part of Shivaji's army. Petty landholders who were often at the mercy of these bigger Deshmukhs, they benefited by the policy or by the rise of Shivaji or by the rise of your Marathas. In fact, it was in these petty landlords the strength of Marathas lay. For example, the Deshmukhs of Maule, who were the first to rally to Shivaji's side, they were the petty landholders. Similar was the case with some other petty landholders like Mores of Jauli, Khopades of Utroli, Nimbalkars of Phaltan. Besides, Shivaji's emphasis on extension and improvement of cultivation benefited not only the peasants in general, but also these petty landholders in particular. That's why we find that the rise of Marathas, it actually helped these petty landholders, these small landholders, a lot. There was one more thing here before talking about Irfan Habib, because in fact Irfan Habib, he points out the connection between the rise of the Maratha power and the rebellious mood of the oppressed peasantry. He said that the rise of the Maratha power, it was all about like you have to find the peasant mood or peasantry mood. So why was he talking about, why Irfan Habib was mentioning this very fact? So what was happening, guys, here is that there was in the Maratha belt in this Maharashtra area at that point of time, there was this struggle for control over land. And this struggle for control over land, it was there among bigger, middle and smaller Deshmukhs. So this control over land, it was going between Deshmukhs and also between the Mirasis. So Deshmukhs, they are the landholders, the big landholders. Also the Mirasis are like the resident owner cultivators. Mirasis who were like who had their fields in their home village only. So these were Mirasis. And also the Uparis were outsiders. They were the outsider cultivators. So there was this passionate struggle which was going on between all these different sections to increase the control over the land. Because political authority at that time period, it also depended on the control over land. That's why Irfan Habib points out that the connection between the rise of the Maratha power and the rebellious mood of the oppressed peasantry, it helped the rise of Marathas. Because these fighting which is happening for the control over land among the Deshmukhs, Mirasis and Uparis, it is the peasantry which is getting oppressed because of these landed gentries who were trying to control more and more land. There also lies the social context of this Maharashtra movement. Shivaji tried to raise the status of his family by entering into matrimonial alliances with the leading Deshmukh families. The first thing Shivaji did, he had this matrimonial alliances with the leading Deshmukh families of the area, that is Shirkes, Mores, Nimbalkars. Because Marathas, as such, they were not a very important social force at that point of time. So they needed some sort of legitimizing force, some sort of their own recognition. So, आपके Shivaji, he followed a dual policy. First, he curtailed the political power of the bigger Deshmukhs on the one hand, where he got the support of the petty landholders and the cultivators, the peasantry. And then he also entered into this matrimonial or patrimonial alliances for claiming equal status with the Shirkes, the Mores, the Nimbalkars, or the Deshmukhs in general. Shivaji got coronated in 1674, and it not only put him higher in status among other Maratha clans, but it also put him at par with the other Deccani rulers because he got coronated now. Now this whole belt here, like the petty landholders, the cultivators there, they found their ruler. His assumption of the superior status of this Suryavanshi Kshatri with the help of leading Brahmins of Banaras, because the local Brahmins, they did not recognize him. So the leading Brahmins of from Banaras under the leadership of Gagabhat, Shivaji, he established his status as Suryavanshi Kshatri. In fact, he got prepared this Suryavanshi Kshatriya genealogy of his family, which linked his family all the way back to Lord Indra. Whereas he also claimed this high sounding title of Kshatriya Kulavatans, or the ornament of Kshatriya families. All these things were done by your Shivaji in order to assert his identity. The rise of Maratha power, or the rise of this Maratha dynasty, should also be seen in the form of a kind of an identity movement which was going on. So by all these methods, Shivaji confirmed a higher status among the Maratha families, and he claimed exclusive right to collect Sardeshmukhi, जो अभी तक केवल Shirkes या घोरपड़े इसके हाथ में थी. This is how he actually got like himself well entrenched in the social like format, social setup. Moving on, this clearly emphasizes the social tension prevalent in the Maratha society. Because what clearly emphasized that now we are seeing that these Marathas, when they are fighting for their identity, so obviously there is some social tension. That's why this identity assertion is happening. Because most of the Maratha, they were agriculturists, and they also formed a fighting class. Yet they were not Kshatriya in its status. It is the family of your Shivaji who claimed this Kshatriya status. So the social movement which was launched by Shivaji served as a powerful means which welded together the Marathas and the local cultivating class like the Kunbis, like the Holis, like other tribals of the Maul area, who rallied around Shivaji in large numbers, and they were motivated by the desire to raise their status in the social hierarchy like the Marathas did under Shivaji. So you have to, like in the previous slide I have mentioned that this rise of Marathas, it could be seen as a as a kind of an identity movement as well, where they are asserting their position in the Varna system, where they are kind of increasing their status in the Varna system. The intellectual and ideological framework for the rise of Maharashtra Dharma, for the rise of these uh, Maratha power, it was provided by the Bhakti movement, which was called as Maharashtra Dharma. It actually helped the Marathas in providing them with a cultural identity, because the emphasis of the Bhakti saints on egalitarianism provided ideal background and justification for the mobility in the Varna scale by individuals and by groups. So the rise of the Marathas who were of such humble origin, as like even various Marathas like Sindhyas as well, it exemplifies the success of this Maharashtra Dharma movement as well, which was talking about egalitarianism. So we find that during this time period, a sizable number of groups improved their status in the Varna hierarchy and they legitimized their right to political power. Further, we have M.G. Ranade. Later, he was also supported by V.K. Rajwade. He has formulated the idea that it was Maharashtra Dharma that resulted in the political independence of the Marathas. M.G. Ranade, he says that basically at this point of time we are seeing Jayashnu Hinduism against the Sahishnu Hinduism. It is the rise of Jayashnu Hinduism or the increase of Jayashnu Hinduism. What is this Jayashnu Hinduism? So Jayashnu Hinduism means aggressive Hinduism. Okay, Jayashnu Hinduism means aggressive Hinduism, and Sahishnu Hinduism means the tolerant Hinduism. So we are seeing with the rise of Marathas, it is the Jayashnu Hinduism which is emerging. Now talking about Maharashtra Dharma, guys, so the earliest trace of this term Maharashtra Dharma, it occurs in the 15th century work Guru Charit. In Guru Charit we find for the first time the mention of Maharashtra Dharma. But this Maharashtra Dharma, it was defined in the context of an ethical policy of a great enlightened state. This Maharashtra Dharma got a political overtone in 17th century and great credit goes to the Ramdas, Saint Ramdas or Samarth Ramdas, who expressed unfavorable opinion about the Turko-Afghan Mughal rule. And Shivaji, he actually used this whole terminology of Ramdas to his advantage and he used this popular ideological chant of Maharashtra Dharma against the Deccanis and the Mughals. If we talk about the religious feelings of the Marathas, it was centered around the worship of three gods, Tuluja Bhavani, Vithoba and Mahadev. In fact, the battle cry of the Marathas, that is Har Har Mahadev, it touched the sentiments of Maratha peasantry. But as rightly pointed out by Ranade, that Hindu hostility to Muslim hegemony, it was not the primary motivating factor, not the dynamic element of the medieval Indian political scene at that point of time. Besides the hollowness of this whole ideology, that is, it is the the rise of basically some sort of Hindu nationalism. It is well evident when Shivaji and other Maratha Sardars started collecting Chauth and Sardes Mukhi across their boundaries. And this Chauth and Sardes Mukhi, it is kind of a legalized plunder. But this legalized plunder, it was done on across their boundaries, which was done not just on Muslims, even on the Hindus. But the use of such religious term, it was kind of a psychological tonic to mobilize the peasantry in its early phase of Maratha expansion. So what we find, guys, that various scholars, various historians, they mentioned that the rise of the Marathas, okay, more than their political setup, more than more than their religious kind of background, it is the political setup of this very area which led to the rise of the Maratha Empire. So it is also now in this scenario, it becomes difficult for us to accept that Shivaji wanted to carve out a Hindu Swaraj. Okay, it is actually difficult for us to understand that Shivaji, he wanted to carve out a Hindu Swaraj. Because he did not fight for it beyond his territory. Rather, it should. So, what should we do? We should actually see the rise of Marathas as a regional reaction against the centralized tendencies of the Mughal Empire. It is the regional reaction which many scholars they believe. The Marathas wanted to form a large principality for themselves, for which the ideal background was provided by the disintegration of the Nizam Shahi power of Ahmednagar and the introduction of a new factor, that is the Mughals. So its inherent socio-economic contradiction, it helped in mobilizing the local landed elements in general. And what are those contradictions? I have already talked about how the fight for land was happening in these areas. So these are some of the historiographical view regarding the rise of Marathas. In the next video, we will talk about the political rise of the Marathas, and we will talk about like how the Maratha became a political force. That's it for this very session. I hope you gained a lot. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you're new here, just subscribe to this YouTube channel and also hit the bell icon, like if you have liked this video. And one more thing, if you have any doubt or if you have any queries, or if you have any suggestion, do let me know by like mentioning it in the comment below. You can also follow me by finding me by Om's History. Okay, हम Instagram, Telegram सब में इसी नाम से आपको मिल जाएंगे. Thank you so much. Bye bye. See you in the next video, guys.